the Goodies Manchester League kicked off last week. There was a couple of shock results early on. Tong had lost their first game at home after winning the league, and then they went and had a tremendous away win at Lower Upton. So there's been certainly a few upsets up in the Manchester League. For his thoughts on the opening games in the Goodies League, we've got on the line now Tong star Gary Ellis. Good evening, Gary.
Hello, Mel, how are you?
How are you doing? Have you spent all that money you've won today?
It'll be spent, yeah. Don't worry about that. Yeah. I'm just getting home now, actually. So.
Yeah. For those of you who are listening in, Gary's just come up from the Tipton and Towesley Building Society competition at West Brom, which is the Champion of Champions qualifier. In the final, he's beat Graham Wilson 21-14. So a good day for you, Gary.
Yeah, it's interesting, really. I don't feel like I played that well, but I probably played the best game in the final, and he played his worst, really.
Yeah, I mean, I saw most of the final, but I had to leave to come and set up this show. I saw, I think, 5 dead ends in the first 6, wasn't there, or something?
There was a bit of striking going on. I mean, I think he's led me about 7-1 in the final, and I've hit a couple of strikes at that point, so it's probably kept me in the game, really.
Yeah.
And then he's gone off a bit second half of the game, really, Graham.
Yeah. But, yeah, good win. You obviously delighted. You've had a good start to the season, Gary?
I have. I mean, I think, I up and down, but this year there's been quite a few tweaks on early doors with the invitation up at Barrow and the Stairs at the George, and I've done well in 1 or 2 of them, and, I think you've probably just sent a lot more goals than everybody else, and it's a big advantage.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, as I say, you won the pairs with Chris Brown at the George, didn't you? And you lost in the final up in Cumbria. And you won the Woodlands one, didn't it? The 100 pound head competition.
Yeah, and that's stuff that hasn't been on in the past. So, I've just played a lot more than other people. Like I say, I think if you win one, you're liable to do well in others because your game's just a bit more sharp, really.
That's right. So it's really set you up for hopefully a good season.
I hope so. I mean, you never know with bowling, do you? Your form goes in and out a bit. But I couldn't be more pleased with the start of that, to be honest.
No, that's right. Now, you and obviously, of course, you got your Champion of Champions place early in the season.
Well, it's nice to get it, isn't it? I mean, it was funny. I was just thinking that, you don't. Obviously, you've got to win your county merit. If you don't win your county merit, then you've got probably about 10 handicaps to go at, and that's one of them. Because I don't go to the Isle of Man, I don't go in Fleetwood. Obviously, you've got the vets and the junior winner to go in, and the Parks winner, which I don't go in. So it's obviously good to get in it. Everybody wants to be in it, and pressure's off, so to speak now.
Yeah, I got a message on the board here from Andy Cairns. He said, "Why don't you ever reply to his text messages?"
The slug, because I'm driving, slug.
Because he's driving. Okay,
I'm lucky.
That's fair enough. I hope you're on hands free.
I am on hands free. Yeah.
Now then, we're going to bring you down to earth a little bit now. What's happened to Tong the first few games? There've been a few mixed results there, haven't there?
There have really, yeah. I mean, I think 1 or 2 people, probably took our comments the wrong way. We have a lot of players who don't play a lot early season, and I think it probably just showed a little bit. And that's not to take anything away from the teams that have beat us, but we probably 1 or 2 haven't quite been at the best. But we had a good result last Wednesday at Lower Upton, so hopefully we're coming back to form a little bit.
I think good result's a bit of an understatement. Did you? 9 winners out of 10?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know whether the guys that are listening know, but they've had a big problem with the green there. I think there's been a bit of vandalism on the green, and there's a few patches on it, and it suits an away team because they're probably thinking, well, where do I go? I've got to avoid these patches. But having said that, it's still an amazing result, really.
It is,
To get 9 winners there, they're the best team in Yorkshire. I would have thought they're certainly amongst one of the best. So it's an amazing result now, that.
Yeah, so I think it's took you back up to about 3rd in the league after a couple of games, hasn't it?
Yeah, and we had we thought a fairly poor result first game, so we're very pleased to get a good result in, and then it's back in the melting pot now.
Yeah.
But it's very early yet, you know.
Oh, of course it is, yeah. Of course it is, yeah. The other thing we're going to speak about was last weekend, Gary, the challenge match. I've got Steve Wallace is with me in the studio, who obviously played for the Gravel against you last week. What do you think of the Gravel?
They're a good team. I mean, you know, I didn't. Some of the Midlands players I don't know, and you know, obviously I saw one or two of them for the first time, but you know, a lot of them played very well. Particularly the lad that beat Jimmy Darby, I was very impressed with.
That's right, Wayne Curran, yeah.
Wayne Curran, I don't think it's a guy I've seen before.
No.
But you know, the best team won. Simple as that. You know, best team on the night won.
Yeah, they did play that. Wayne doesn't enter tournaments at all, but he's a top class player, dedicated club man is Wayne, yeah.
Yeah, I was a good corner player. I was very, very impressed with him.
Yeah.
Very impressed with him.
Yeah. I've got a message on the screen saying that match, would it create more interest if it was an arm away match at the end of the season? I mean, what's your thought on it, Gary? Was it better neutral green or later in the year, or?
Yeah, I think an home and away game, you know, sounds interesting. I mean, I think, you know, there was one or two comments on the 21 Up website about, you know, some poor bowling. I think, you know, one or two of our lads didn't play so well, but, you know, I think for one or two of them it was probably only the second or first game of the season, you know, so they're not going to be at the best. Like I say, you know, I've got a few players who don't send many bowls really.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I think, you know, a home and away job is a possibility. I think if you have a neutral green, maybe, you know, if it can be fit in, you know, if you play it in May or June, I think you're liable to see a better standard of play.
Yeah. The message come on the screen from Laney. He says, if you had a match like that, could you get Darren Griffiths to go away? Is he not a good traveller?
Darren Griffiths, he played well for the Gravel, didn't he? Bernard last week.
Yeah.
Somebody else played.
Yeah.
Griffiths, no, I mean he got a nosebleed going that far on the M6. Griffiths didn't know what was going on, to be honest.
Yeah.
He's never been on the motorway before, you know.
That's right. What did you think of the setup at Florence?
Yeah, it's a good setup, isn't it? I mean, it's a hard green. Particularly, you know, if you've not been there before, you get caught out for paces. One or two of the bits where you think it's uphill, it's actually downhill, and the other way around, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's a good setup. It's a good club, isn't it? There.
Yeah, it is. It's superb, and it's just remind everybody we're speaking to Gary Ellis, who's just won the Tipton and Cowsley Building Society event at West Bromwich. Yeah, Florence looked after us well. They put plenty of good food on as well after.
They did. Yeah, they did. They made an effort, which is nice to see. You know.
Which it is.
So the only thing I'd say on it, Mel, I do think that, you know, if you can run something like that in May, June, July, or August, you're liable to see a better standard of play.
Yes,
I think you will.
Quite,
you know.
Yeah, I quite agree there. I think,
you know, getting a date is not easy. You know, and I appreciate that.
I think it's something we should consider, myself and Steve Davis from the Gooding League, as trying to set a date and say, well, this is it, lads. This is when it's going to be. You know. And perhaps we can get round to that. You know.
Yeah, I mean, a weekend would be awkward if, you know, the teams have got tournament players in, but, you know, a Friday night might work, you know, depending on whether there's anything on locally, you know. So